guys, this is Nick with Team Events here. We are out on the boat, obviously, but this is the framing video. Don't be confused. So the video that's coming up is going to go over some tips and tricks on framing. Tiny Boat Nation was a great resource. Lots of time on their website and video tutorials watching. So if you would like to learn where I learned from, I didn't do this. I'm not a boat fabricator. I am just an average Joe doing average things with my kiddos. But the Tiny Boat Nation, tbnation.net is where you want to go to see those tutorial videos. We had a good time. Ellie primarily helped me the most with the framing. So shout out to Ellie for being the master metal fabricator extraordinaire. So if Ellie can do it and I can do it, then any of y'all can for sure. So stay tuned. The last video is going to be the kind of the overview of the boat. Obviously we're on it today, so that'll be the show and the tour of the boat. So thank you guys. Cheers. The first part of framing the boat was getting the XPS foam down under the floor. I went with a very thin aluminum, so just had to measure and cut, putting this XPS foam in between all the ribs. Closed cell, open cell will soak and will become very heavy and will be a bad thing for your boat, so don't use that. Use XPS closed cell. Next was measuring, cutting, and installing the 0.63 aluminum flooring. I chose to go with a manual rivet gun, 3/8 inch, lots and lots of rivets. If you wanted to save some time, you could do one of the power-driven rivet guns, but I had a manual, and that's what I used. It took a little longer, but I enjoy the process. Make sure when you're cutting your flooring that you, just like when you're framing and doing drywall, you leave some overhang so you can rivet both ends of your aluminum so you don't get any loose ends when they come together, and leave a 1/16 inch gap between the flooring there because you'll cover it with something anyway. Then came the rivets. Oh my gosh, there were so many rivets. My forearms just sore. I ran 5 rivets across. The boat was, I don't remember how many inches down below. I think it was 42 across. I did 5 rivets across each spine. I'm a visual guy, so I had to build in some mock decking just to see what I'm working with. This decking is 2 inches on both sides, closer to the inside than it's going to be when framed. I just really rough framed this quickly. I had a bunch of scrap plywood and scrap 2x4s and 2x and 1x and just all kinds of stuff I had laying around. I'm gonna draw. I like this setup. The last thing to do is get the motor on the back of the boat and make sure the bench on the left is far enough forward that I could sit and drive comfortably for long runs or stand if needed. As promised, here's the motor mount. Got a 1/4 inch aluminum plate bolted through the transom with some epoxy in the middle so water doesn't come through. On the front side, I added another 1/4 inch plate so that it wouldn't push into the wood transom there. 2 bolts on the back, and then there was 1 bolt for the motor to go through the transom. There you see it right there. Put that through, epoxied that. That thing should be solid. 1/4 inch aluminum on both sides, aluminum lip over the top. I tried welding that top plate with these aluminum welding rods right here. I couldn't get it hot enough with MAP gas, so I couldn't get that thick aluminum hot enough, so it didn't adhere. So I just threw some polyurethane in the middle that I had left over, some liquid nails on the outside to hold it in place while I mounted it, and put the bolts through, and it's holding fine. So hopefully we'll get this beast running soon, and there will be the first startup video. What's up, guys? Mounting the motor. Got the motor mounted. I'll show you that in a second. Filling it with oil, fuel, making the electrical connections that are needed. Went with the 5W30 because in the owner's manual that covers up from 100 degrees down to -20. So just hooked up the kill switch, which was a very simple kind of push connect. I've got this shrink tubing and a heat gun that I'm going to use to permanently kind of make this just a little more waterproof and resistant to pulls and tears. Hooked up the throttle cable. I wasn't sure if it came primed with oil, so I added a little too much oil. They had primed the motor, I think, with oil, even though the dipstick didn't show anything, because I added, it said 46 to 48 ounces. I added 36 ounces just and checked it, and it was overfilled. So I triple checked the manual. I think they put oil kind of in the oil filter and some of that already, and it just didn't read on the dipstick, which is fine. I just drained some of the oil. When it comes time to start it, I'll show you guys. I'll pull a spark plug, give the cord a couple cranks just to get the fluids kind of moved around without it seizing the motor up. So that's it, man. Heat some shrink tubing. Now that we got the motor mounted, we're starting framing. Currently dry fitting everything with these clamps and then putting things where I intend them to be, like this lithium battery, and then thinking through the hatch that's going in, the gun case, the gun locker that's going in there, the speakers, wiring. I drew it all out, of course, but visualizing it to make sure that everything fits like it did on paper. So far, so good. The hard part is this lip that I'm mounting to is slightly beveled or angulated. So I'm cutting these pieces of angle aluminum and then bending the edge down to match it to try to have a little more weight distribution across that lip as opposed to one spot on the edge. So here, I'll show you. As you can see with this piece, that's matching the angle of the boat, and then it's just ever so slightly angulated downward to match that angle on the lip of the boat there. So notching the other side because I want one flush top. Just a lot of planning and drawing to make sure that this ends up like a smooth surface for the EVA foam. Here's the layout. I got my starting battery over there, fuel tank there. This is the framing setup, and then the battery over there. Once we get framing done and in, I got one piece being welded, and it's this back piece here. It's going to have a this piece is going to come under it, and that one's going to go on top of it and give me a little deck back here. Once that comes in tomorrow, nothing but me and my time that's holding us back. Motor looks great. Still trying to find a cover. Everybody's sold out. Do love the way that came out. Run into, not problems, just having to shape the boat. It starts to slope up at the front, so I'm just taking an old wrench and bending the angle iron till it's level. The boat's level right now, of course. You got to make sure the boat's level, otherwise it's not. But yeah, boat's level. Bending the iron. All I'm doing is drilling the holes. I marked it out with a laser and marked it. Got all my measurements, made sure it was square. Doing the base first, then I'll do the vertical supports, and then start building the deck. So, but this is working for me. Taking an old wrench and just, well, I guess it's a pretty big wrench, but bending these to get where they need to go for the angle iron. What's up, guys? This is my wonderful daughter Olivia and Elena, who you can't see because she's halfway out of the picture. And we're going to go over the framing build that I did for the benches for the boat. So Elena is going to show you guys the vertical supports and the horizontal supports. I did one piece of angle aluminum along the bottom of the boat, put my vertical supports on top of it, ran a top piece of horizontal angle on top of that, clamped it all, pushed it all down, and then put in the rivets. So I riveted the angle aluminum together, and then on the face sheet, I think this is the important part, you want to do your rivets all with your face sheet metal attached, because if you riveted all the angle aluminum and then you came back and tried to rivet the sheet aluminum over top of that, it's an uneven surface that's going to cause a lot of waves and bends in the metal. So I cut everything and then riveted it all one time. The other important thing, which Ellie will point to, the vertical supports. So I wanted to build it so that those vertical supports were the load bearer for the vertical weight. So I pushed down, I framed them, clamped them, pushed down, and then drilled my holes and riveted that in place so that the rivet wasn't bearing the load, but that the vertical support was. Rivets don't have a lot of shear value. So, and then after all this, Livy's going to point to the silver rivets. The silver rivets, we're going to go back over as the last part and just touch those up with the appropriate colors of paint. So that's kind of just the framing basics. As you can see now from the video, I'm wiring currently. So we're working on the wiring portion next. What else, girls? Anything else? Living? Anything else? Ellie? No? Say hi. Everybody can see you. She has a face, I swear. All right, next up will be the electrical, the wiring part, which I am awful at. So leave feedback if you got any. This is my wonderful, hardworking daughter, Ellie. She's working on the shield that's going to go under the hatch so that when we put shotguns into the gun case there under the hatch, it will not hit the wiring. So the gun will kind of be guided by this piece of metal that she fabricated pretty much all by herself. So really proud of her for that. What's up, guys? Gonna do one more run through of the boat for you for framing, just to give any tips and tricks as I think about it as I go through the boat. Right, wrong, and different, it's the way I did it. We've taken it out once and it worked out pretty good. It was comfortable. There were four of us in here, and it felt comfortable. We didn't feel cramped. We had room for everybody to fish. I had room to captain the boat and move around and fix kids' lines. And for a boat this narrow, I mean, it's narrow. Just pretty happy with how it came out. So I'll go through it front to back, show you kind of what I did framing wise. We'll do electrical next. So hope it helps you. For framing of the benches, I ran that angle aluminum as you guys saw. I ordered the hatch from Tiny Boat Nation. Took about 6 to 8 weeks to get here. They're behind, so make sure you order planning. I put HydroTurf in the boat, as you can see. I chose HydroTurf because as I looked at all the Amazon reviews for cheaper options, the year follow-up showed that they were all peeling and not staying. So I'll do, not after this season, but after the next season, I'll do a video and show you guys how the HydroTurf has held up to 2 full seasons. So far, I love it though. It's cooler than carpet or anything else I've used, and or had, I guess, not used, but had, and it's been tough. I did get some wear from where the mud motor sits inside of the boat here, and that's just my fault. I should have put something under that plate, and I will. I'm going to use an old cooler top and cut it out and strap it down in that. As far as hatches go, they come with templates. You just cut it in your top piece. I ran aluminum supports on either side of the hatches to make sure that it was support weight, and it's done great. Me and the kids were standing and jumping on them. It hasn't moved. It didn't give an inch. It's been fantastic. Inside, is that plate that I talked about that Ellie fabricated and put together to keep guns from banging into the electrical stuff. There's the inside, angle aluminum. The one thing I'd like to say again is use clamps to hold your piece in place. Wait till all of your sheet aluminum is ready and then put one rivet through everything. That way you get a nice smooth surface and it's not waving where the rivets are behind it and you're adding more rivets on top of it. The corners came out pretty good. Maybe if they start catching or the dog starts hitting them, I'll add some rubber corners to it, but so far it's been good. So it's all sheet aluminum that is just riveted to that angle aluminum with measuring for the hatches that I put in. This back plate I had professionally welded. Dick's Superior Metal, for those of you in the Madison, Wisconsin area, he did a fantastic job. That is tube aluminum that I got and cut the length and prepped it for him, and he just welded it together for me. See if I can get under there to show you. On top though, it's sturdy. That's just a piece of 0.63 sheet aluminum on top. It's sturdy enough for me to stand on. As I told you guys before in the video, I ran this piece under it and put this on top. It's held together in the back by some angle aluminum I fabricated and attached to the bottom so that it can be secure to the vessel. You can see there in the back, I think. In the back here, I cut out and put a storage area in. This is like my little captain's area. So it's got the extinguisher in it. It's got some decoy gloves, the stern light, bug spray, toilet paper, all ear pro, all the things you could use. I'm going to throw my walkers in there as well. The bilge pump, I fabricated a little shelf for it that attached to the floor. Holds that bilge pump where I want it, keeps it from banging around, put some rubber underneath it. And this has worked out great. I love having this access in the back. Highly recommend it. I wanted a little bit of storage here for all the goodies to go on the boat. This is my project book. I do all my projects in here. I did the poker table in here. I draw everything. I'm old school. I tried to do one of those computer-based 3D modeling things. I couldn't figure it out. I just went back to pen and paper. So my list, right? So duck boat, just basic steps for refabricating it. Here you can see all your basic measurements. You'll see my measurements. This was a semi to scale layout with all the space and dimensions of the things that I was going to put in it. That was very helpful going forward because it allowed me to minimize time of messing with things while putting it together. That's going to do it for the framing video, guys. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. And another option would be you can email us at teamavontier@gmail.com. So thanks for watching. Next video is going to be the wiring diagram and the wiring process. It was a lot, but I'll keep that video pretty short because the wiring diagram will really say it all. So thanks for watching, guys.